Welcome, everyone. You've just stepped into a sacred space where purpose meets preparation, where we come together to strengthen not just skills, but spirit, character, and legacy. Here inside the Huddle in Mom's locker room of legacy, we go beyond the scoreboard. We speak life into vision. We nurture identity, fuel growth, and equip families with tools to thrive, on and off the field. This isn't just a workshop, it's a movement. A God-led playbook for legacy building, financial wisdom, emotional strength, and spiritual alignment. Disclaimer: the content provided in this video is for educational and inspirational purposes only and should not be construed as legal, financial, medical, or psychological advice. By watching this video, you voluntarily release moms, mothers of motivated sons. It had to happen, ETM, Dr. Erica Wilson, all facilitators, affiliates, and contributors from any and all liability. All content, including audio, video, graphics, presentations, workshop materials, and commentary, is the exclusive property of Moms and It Had to Happen, TM. Unauthorized reproduction, recording, distribution, or use of any portion of this content is strictly prohibited without express written consent. This video may contain copyrighted material not specifically authorized by the copyright owner. Such content is used under the provisions of the Fair Use Act for purposes such as education, commentary, and nonprofit awareness. We do not claim ownership of third-party content used under fair use. If you are the copyright owner and have concerns, please contact us directly for resolution. Thank you for supporting moms, mothers of motivated sons, where faith meets the field and legacy lives beyond the game. So lace up, lean in, and get ready to join the huddle where every voice matters, every journey is honored, and victory starts within. Let's go. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Mothers of Motivated Sons.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are ready to get inside the Huddle and Mom's locker room of legacy. Let me go ahead and bring on the beauties that we have in the building. Come on in. We have the champion, Miss Ashley Cunningham. She is our money champion. Woo, woo.
Hey.
All right, then we have our project manager champion and entrepreneur champion. Come on in, Jasmine. And then we have our special guest in the house. We're going to go ahead and call her a champion too, guys, because she's a champion of realty. And we're going to bring in Miss Chanel Lewis. Welcome to the locker room.
Hi, everyone.
All right. We're going to go ahead and go into prayer because we do not like doing anything before going through before the throne of grace. So, Jasmine, can you take us on in?
Yes. So, Father God, we come to you as humbly as we can to first say thank you. Thank you for a new day. Thank you for new mercies and new blessings. Lord, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this huddle once again. Lord, we ask that the information that we receive today be edified into our spirits. Help us to be able to navigate and journey through our lives. Thank you for this opportunity, Lord. I ask that you continue to bless each and every one of us here tonight and every guest that will join us. Thank you for all of your mercies, your blessings, your love. We appreciate you, we thank you, and we love you. In your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Tonight's topic is first-time home buyer essentials from pre-approval to closing. So I'm going to pass the floor over to our money champion and our champion of realty. Come on in, ladies.
Go ahead.
All right. So I guess I'll go ahead and start this off. And just to give you a little bit about me, my name is Chanel Lewis, and I am a realtor in Georgia. I've been doing real estate for now 8 years. So I've been in the business for quite some time. And really today, I really want to make sure from my perspective, especially with what's going on in the economy right now and the market, that I give you the best tools to help you survive your real estate journey. Along with Ashley and I'll just turn it back over to you.
Yes, so the goal of this home ownership seminar is to really just help you gain knowledge. You need to be able to make the appropriate decisions when it comes to purchasing a house. So we want to make sure that you are securing the finances on the front end and making that process when it comes to purchasing your house a little bit more streamless. Again, with this presentation, all the information that is going to be provided is just basis on knowledge and what we want to be able to assist you with. But everyone's process will be different in this. So let me go ahead and, did I do it? Oh, no, I got it right. There we go. So beautiful Chanel Lewis, the realtor. You can see her Instagram panhandle, Chanel underscore the realtor, the underscore realtor. And then my name is Ashley Cunningham. I am a financial advisor. I've been in the financial industry for about 5.5 years now. And you can also follow me on Instagram at the millennial underscore financial plug or Jolie Phil Marie. So typically, most times when it comes to concerns that people have when purchasing a house would be, I don't have enough money for a down payment, right? There are options that are able to help you when it comes to down payment assistance programs. You just have to be able to dive a little bit deeper into that subject next time we meet in the month of August. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned in August when we have to run this back. The next thing is, I don't have good credit. As a financial advisor, there are certain strategies that are able to help you improve your credit. In fact, there's actually a promotional that we have for our clients that have a minimum 570, and that qualifies them for a great incentive when it comes to credit that we'll dive into a little bit deeper. And the last thing is I just got a new job. Having a job is good because at the end of the day, they want to know that you have money coming in, right? So as long as you have a job, I believe it's still 2 years that they want the job history, you can still qualify to secure a loan. So I'm going to turn it over to Chanel, and she's going to talk about the first steps when it comes to having your financial home journey.
All right. So with contacting your realtor, so I always tell anyone that I come across that ask me about the market right now, should I actually go out and start looking? Should I wait and be prepared for a market crash? Before we even think about any of that, the first thing you want to do is just contact your realtor. And the reason why is because a number of reasons. Of course, financially, you want to make sure you're in the right place. But not only that, you also want to make sure that you are aware and equipped for what you're going to get ready to go forward with. So I always tell my clients to at least reach out to me 3 to 6 months in advance. And sometimes even sooner would not hurt, only because you never know where you are financially. You don't know if you have to work on your credit score. You don't know whether or not you understand the area you want to be in. There's different little pieces to that, school systems, different things like that. So you want to make sure that you are prepared to understand everything that you need prior to going forward with the next steps. So I have listed here a lot of different things, and I want to go into too much detail about everything that's on here, but just the biggest part is contact me early enough so that I can make sure you're set up for success. Because if you wait a month before, that can put you in a bind, especially if you're having to move in like the next 2 weeks. That's kind of a little bit more of a challenge because we do have to go look for properties. We have to make sure you pre-approve and everything like that. Okay, so with getting to know the client, I actually have a couple of questions that I like to ask. Of course, like I spoke on earlier, where are you looking to move? With Ashley, what she spoke on, do you have a job currently? Are you an entrepreneur, or are you a W-2 person where you're actually getting a W-2? Also, do you have funds saved? What's your current credit score? All those things are, like I said, if you were to say have a lower credit score, you have to work on that. It doesn't magically change in a week. You have to work on that. So you have to make sure you're set up to be able to get your credit score where you need to be in enough time so that you're not stressed at the end to try to find your home and you're not able to do so as quickly as you want to. Considering also with the market, there are some challenges you do have. And I will say that, especially you see everything that's going on in the economy. You want to make sure that you have enough time to say, hey, I have the funds saved. I know where I want to live. My credit score is good. And I'm just ready to go get that pre-approval so I can start looking.
So the second step that we're going to go over is just going to be the mortgage application and what that approval process looks like. There are a few do's and don'ts that you really want to be able to consider. A few do's are you want to make sure that you're getting pre-approved, right? We want to make sure that we're looking at the money and the money is there. And most times when people don't have that pre-approval in hand, they tend to overshoot. And when they think they can be able to afford a house, they can't. So that's why that is very important. And if you missed last seminar, we talked about a budget. It's very important for you to be able to make sure that you do have your budget for any future expenses, especially when it comes to purchasing a house, because we want to make sure that if you acquire that loan, anytime that life decides they want to throw a monkey wrench at you, you're able to make sure that you're holding on to the property you worked so hard to get. Another thing is you want to be able to do your research. Like Chanel said, do you like the school system? Is there an HOA? And if there is an HOA, we want to make sure that you review what those HOA terms look like, because sometimes you may realize you want a tomato garden and your HOA says that you can't have it. So those are some things that you want to be able to make sure you're looking out for. And of course, credit is going to be a huge thing when it comes to purchasing a house. That's one of the key factors when it comes to purchasing a house. And you want to make sure that you're attending any showings. Now, I don't know about you, but nowadays you can't tell between what's real and fake with AI. So when you're looking at these photos that are on the website saying this is what the house looks like, you also want to attend the showing so you can kind of get a feel is this home? Does this feel safe? Am I walking on those floors? Do I like the way the floors creak? Do I actually like, that overhead on the staircase, right? And then there are a few don'ts. You don't want to make any huge purchases prior to you purchasing a house. And changing jobs frequently could potentially be an issue when it comes to purchasing a home, because now they're looking at that employment area. And you never want to really kind of overlook any developments that are happening, because, of course, in the area, just in Georgia alone, you see that they are building all around. And people are like, my property taxes are going up. So those are some things that you really want to be able to look for. And just don't automatically assume that you need 20% in order to purchase a house, because that's not necessarily true. So one thing people like to ask, okay, so why is credit so important? Well, there are a few reasons why credit is important, especially when purchasing a home. So interest rates are one of them. The higher the credit scores, that typically qualifies you for a lower interest rates. So then you're able to kind of save money over the span of the loan. The next thing will be the loan approval. Lenders will look at your credit score and kind of gauge your ability to be able to repay a loan. They're not going to give you a lump sum of money if you default on almost every single loan that you've ever had. So a good score can increase the chances of getting approved. Then you're also looking at the loan amount. The higher the credit score, you can simply qualify for large amounts of loan, which gives you more options when it comes to the housing market. And there are a few down payment requirements. So you need to make sure that if you're conventional, you have over a certain credit score, or does that make you fall into the FHA tier? And then on top of that, there are some loan terms where borrowers with higher credit scores may receive more favorable loans in terms, like reduced fees or just more flexible repayment options. And then, of course, private mortgage insurance. You've always wanted to know what that looks like. As I said earlier within the introduction, that there was a special offer that we typically do, which is called a credit upgrade. And what a credit upgrade is, it's just a rapid rescore offered at no cost to any of our clients. All you have to do is have a credit score between 570 and 799. And with all of that, we will literally run your credit and give you a customized plan to shoot your credit score to a certain tier. So let's just say you say, hey, I have a 570 and I want to be able to reach the 700s. We have underwriters who would be able to help us out in the background and say, hey, pay this card off to this specific amount, and this will shoot you to this credit score. And as long as you're able to provide that documentation that you followed through with that plan, we will honor that credit score. Of course, with the mortgage side, you have to think about what the loans are. So there are three common types of loans. One being the conventional loan. You typically have to have between 0 to 20% down payment. And then you have the Federal Housing Administration loan, commonly known as the FHA loan, where you have to have 3.5% down payment. And then the VA loan, also known as the Veterans loan, where there's no down payment towards any of the veterans. Now, I do want to let you know, come August on our next home ownership workshop, we will dive completely into what those loans look like and how you're able to qualify and what you need to be able to do to qualify. So I would say the mortgage loan process is probably the hardest process when it comes to purchasing a house, because you can go shopping for the houses, right? And you fall in love with the house, but at the end of the day, you can fall in love with the house, but if the mortgage loan doesn't fall in love with you, you ain't getting a house. So this is definitely the most stressful part when it comes to that. A few things that we typically look for when we are processing that mortgage application is any personal information and documentation. So we are talking about, you need your W-2s, 1099s if you are a independent or a contractor. We're talking tax transcripts. We need to know where the money is. How much money are you making? Your paycheck stubs. Most times, the most 2 months worth of bank statements. So 60 days worth of bank statements. And then on top of that, we're also talking about assets and liabilities, or your bank statements and your debt. We're going to compare your income to your debt to see if you can qualify for this house, or if you reach that that profit or the income requirement. So think of the application like asking the bank for a really big loan to buy a house, and you're going to show your documentation to the bank and the lender, and they're going to say, okay, you're good at paying this loan back. Once you are approved, you can use that loan to buy a house, and you're going to pay interest over time until you purchase that house, but you're still going to be paying taxes. A few additional documents that we're going to also look for are going to be any property information. You know, where are you going to move to? Or do you have current property now? Your down payment information. Are you able to afford the down payment plus the closing costs when it comes to this house? And of course, your employment history, again, because we need to know, are you bringing in income consistently? And then your credit history. So once you pretty much fill out the whole application process, a few things are going to happen. One, there are 4 types of ways that you can get a loan. One is called a pre-qualification. And with the pre-qualification, they're verifying your credit. Okay, they're going to look at your income, they're going to look at your assets, and then they may automate underwriting. Okay, and most times with that, it's just a rough estimate. It's not saying, hey, Chanel, we're going to give you $500,000 on this pre-qualification, and then you go out and you try to look for a $500,000 house, and then once everything gets run through, you realize you don't qualify for $500,000, you qualify for $2,500,000, right? Mm-hmm. So that pretty much is what a pre-qualification is. It's not necessarily spot on, and it's definitely a rough estimate. The next thing would be a pre-approval. They do a little bit more underwriting on the front end. They're going to still verify that credit. They're going to verify the income documents and your assets, and you're still going to get approved with the automated finding, right? With that, it's like a formal assessment showing your buyer like, okay, I am serious when it comes to purchasing this house. And it gives you a better estimate more so than the pre-qual, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is what you qualify for. And the next thing would be a verified approval. With the verified approval, you have underwriting verifying everything on the front end. We're talking your credit. So we know what your credit score is, your income, your debt, your assets, everything has already been verified. So when you undergo that underwriting process, when they say you are verified for this amount, you are verified for that amount, you can take that to the buyer, and that gives you a little bit more power when it comes to purchasing your potential dream home. And then, of course, you have cash. Nothing can really, trump cash in most instances, where you don't necessarily need the verification on the front end. You just have to have the proof of assets. And then more than likely, cash offers are what that come off the table the quickest. Other than that, you will have the verified approval. Let's go here. So one thing that we do within our company is we do the verified approval. The one thing that I also like to tell my clients when we sit down with each other, hey, let's get all your information on the front end. We'll pretty much do a pricing scenario, and the pricing scenario is based off the information that the client tells me. So if they say, hey, I have a $750 and I make X amount of money and I spend X amount in debt, I can pull up a scenario and say, just based off what you told me, this is what you qualify for at this moment with these interest rates. Okay. And of course, once you go under the actual underwriting process, that can change. So now you have finished the part where you batted, you was mad at the mortgage loan originator, you was mad at the bank and everybody else because they kept asking you for a lot of documents. But now you're verified, approved, and you're gonna go to your realtor and say, baby, I got my money in hand, I'm ready to start looking for my house.
All right, so this is the exciting part. You know, got through the hard part and you're still going to be dealing with that part along this process, but we can finally actually get to viewing properties. So there's a couple of things that I like to ask my clients. Of course, if you were here earlier, I spoke on a couple of things that I typically like to ask my clients prior to actually looking for a home. And that's just so I can understand a couple of the aspects of what they're looking for so that I can send them in the right direction to Ashley so she can move forward with the pre-approval or the verification. But once I actually know that you're pre-approved, I'll sit down with you, have a conversation on a few things. Of course, is what areas are you interested in? That can be based off of your work location, school districts. Some people may like to be close to like the conveniences of being able close to go to shopping centers or restaurants. They like to walk. They don't have vehicles. I have met people who don't even own a vehicle that want to purchase like condos that they could just get on MARTA or something like that to be able to have transportation. What do you enjoy? Do you like going to sporting events? Do you want to be closer to that? Or do you want to be in a country where you have space and land? It just all depends on what you're looking for. That helps me to be able to gather a couple of properties to show you, along with some other things. Actually, if you go to the next slide, lifestyle. So this is asking you more of, what do you look for in your home? What is your primary reason for looking for that home? Do you have a certain age group? Some people like to stay in areas where there are retirement is more of a retirement place. Some like a little bit more livelier of a location. If you have pets, do you need a fence? Things like that are important. I'll go through this list along with trying to figure out your house style. Do you want a particular type of style with the dining room? Do you want an open concept? Do you need a basement? What is the age of the property? Some people may actually want new constructions versus, older homes. It just really depends on when it comes to what you're looking for. And I'll get a chance to ask you those questions. Once we actually have an opportunity to see what you like, I'll send you over a couple of properties. We'll start looking at those properties, and let's just say you find one that you actually want to put an offer in. So that's when we'll start making that offer out. Now, there's different things that can happen with the offer. They can either accept the offer, reject the offer, or counter offer. With the accepting the offer, that means you're going on a contract. There's a couple things that I do like to discuss with you as a client before we go in with the offer. And that really is pricing too. And I'm just going to throw that in there because in this market, with some of the houses sitting on the market as long as they are, with putting in offers, there are some things that we can do to kind of negotiate what you're looking for in pricing, or even with closing, or even getting closing costs. Because I know with Ashley, she'll help you with some of the things as far as getting down payment assistance, but what about closing costs? That may be important. So going to the client, the sellers, and asking, well, hey, are you willing to give me money towards closing costs? If you really want to close on this property, I see it's been on the market for 100 days. It's not moving. I'm ready to give you this pre-approval, but I just need an extra $5,000 towards closing costs to help me to be able to get into this home, but it'll take it off your plate. With that rejection, they probably just went with another offer. And then with the counter offer, you basically can go back and say, if they like your offer, but then like the fact that they wanted to give you you wanted $5,000 towards closing costs. They may say, hey, I'll accept your offer, but I'm not giving you the closing costs. But that would be something that we'll do to kind of negotiate with the seller on how we want to work it, try to get those kinks out so we can get you closed on that home. But let's just say they do like your offer and they gave you exactly everything that you wanted from that offer, then you're officially under contract at this point. So it's now time to prepare for closing. Now, there's a couple of things that typically happen right before closing. You're going to have to get an appraisal. The appraisal is just to see what the market value of your home is. so that the lender can actually have that. And actually, if you may want to step in on this part too, I don't know if you have some things you want to say, but a lot of times with those appraisals, especially let's just say you go in a house at $600,000, but the price of the home when you got the appraisal back was only $550. Then for most loans, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for like conventional loan, that money between that 550 and 600 will have to come out. 600 will have to come out of your pocket. With FHA loans, if it's 550, they have to drop that price down to 550. And for VA loan, it's similar. Does it have to come out of pocket with that too?
I believe that one has to come out of pocket, but
yeah, it has to come out of pocket too. So it's important with that appraisal to kind of see where you are, especially if you have an FHA loan, you just won. But if you have a conventional loan, do you want to stay with this offer? Because at this point, you may have to come out of pocket extra $50,000 on top of closing costs. So those are just things to consider, but appraisal has to be done. There are also prepaid expenses. This is really what we talk about when it comes to earnest money. So let's just say when you put in an offer, you say on the offer, we're willing to give you $2,000 upfront in earnest money. And this is just good faith money. Basically say, I'm serious about this offer and I want to give you this $2,000 upfront just to let you know, I'm not trying to back out this offer that I'm putting out here. And then that's when we go into the closing times typically. And actually, you can give your closing time for your clients, but typically it can range between 15 and 30 days, right? And then depending on to how long the house may want, they want to go on a contract for the house, because some people may be moving out, so they may need a little bit longer. But most cases, the loan officer can close within 15 to 30 days. And I don't know if you want to speak on that.
Yeah. So when we pretty much like help our clients, because we do the verification on the front end, our close times are between 14 to 28 days on average.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right. So you really can go in with that offer once you get pre-approved, or even just the verification. You probably can close within 14 days, right, Ashley? If they have everything.
If they have everything and nothing else within that kind of messes up.
Yeah. So that's a really great turnaround time. But some things that you want to know or want to have when it comes to closing, you want to make sure you have your down payment funds. Of course, those down payment funds can either come from you yourself, or like I said, if you are working with Ashley, you have down payment assistant, they'll be able to assist you with that. You have your closing cost funds, which consists of like the loan origination fees, title search, title insurance, taxes, different things like that. The good thing about closing costs, it doesn't have to just be paid by you. It can be paid by the seller. So just to kind of keep that in mind, whenever you're looking for a home, don't think you have to come out of pocket yourself for closing costs, because technically you and the seller are both trying to close on that home. It's not just you. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to ask for those additional funds to help you, so you're not coming out of pocket with everything from just your funds. Some other things you want to have at closing is your ID, Social Security, and then also your addresses from the past 10 years. And this is typically for the attorney office. They just like to verify everything, see where you may have previously stayed, make sure you're the person that's closing on these documents. It's like that. It's a really strenuous process because it's a large fund that they're giving you. So they want to make sure they can verify everything. And at this point, you are officially new homeowners.
All right.
I think your sound kind of, can hear it.
My sound?
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
What an awesome presentation, ladies. Oh my God. Listen, guys, you just got inside the huddle. I mean, you in the huddle, and these champions just wore out their playbooks. Now, I want to start with you, Ashley, because here's the thing. We're moms, right? And what we're in the locker room. So we're going to talk about the athletes. And we know that when the kids are leaving college, right? Maybe they don't have credit, but then they come into all of this money and have to purchase a home. Mm-hmm. What process would they need to go through in order to get approved for a loan, or would you say cash, pay cash for a home?
So The process can be different when it comes to just anybody, right? Because now we're looking at, do they have some sort of history? Okay, they do have cash. Preferably if they don't have a working history, cash would be their best bet because they don't have to go through so much when it comes to underwriting. And underwriting can be a headache for anybody, okay? It's a headache for the mortgage lender, it's a headache for the underwriter, and it's a headache for the client, but it's even a bigger headache for the mortgage lender because the client is all up in that gear, like, I don't know what's going on. But anyways, when it comes to that, I would definitely say you want to have all your finances in order if you're going to be paying cash. And then you also, credit score might not be a huge thing or a huge factor because you still have that cash, but you always still want to make sure that you have like those minimum things when it comes to a loan, because you never know, the market can turn left or right, right? And from there, you might have to get a loan. It might be a small amount of loan because you have a lot of cash, but you still have to get a loan. And if you have to get a loan, you still have those requirements that you have to meet.
Okay. So my next question will be to Chanel. Excuse me. Buying a home cash, right? I don't think there's no pros to that, just not having a mortgage, you know.
With
Uh,
cash.
yes.
So there are a lot of pros and cons with cash. One of the pros with cash, of course, like with Ashley, you don't have to go through the loan process. It's more of and it can be a quick sale. That's another thing. It can be a quick sale. Of course, they want to verify that you have the funds, but once you actually go with you don't have to really go to a loan officer. You just have to go to an attorney. You don't have to actually go through someone who does loans, because you just have to verify that you have the cash with the attorney, and the attorney can actually do the closing. So it's a little bit different. But some of the perks of it is just more so having a ability to be able to, let's just say they want to have just like a starter home. They don't need nothing too big. I mean, they're just starting their career. They may not be wanting to do something that's too large. They can, rent that out. And then two, also with having something that is cash, I would say starting off smaller, it's going to be easier to sell to someone else, because if you do get a larger home, you got to find somebody within that tax bracket to purchase that home. So you want to kind of consider that. It makes it harder for that home to sell, so it can sit on the market much longer. But a smaller home, nothing like maybe a good $500,000, between the lower than $1 million, it's easier for you to find buyers coming in to purchase it than something over $1 million, because not everybody's in that tax bracket.
The reason why I asked, because Alan purchased my home cash, my first home. So when the players want to purchase their mom's homes or their significant other home, I just didn't know what was the process. My credit was really good, but I just wanted to find out what was the cons, because when I purchased my second home, I actually have a mortgage now. And even though my credit was still good then, I guess that's just something he wanted me not to have a mortgage. So that was one of the things I was trying to figure out, like why purchase it or just leave some left where you can make the payments. But I don't think that would help me either, because my credit was already in the 800s already.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't help either, right?
I think when people think about paying for their house cash and why loans might not have a good name is they see it as, oh, I don't want to have to keep paying this monthly bill, right? But in actuality, your house builds equity. So if you do have a mortgage, now you're able to borrow against that mortgage or borrow against the value of your house and put that towards another property, or even pay off the old property and sell it however you deem fit for that loan. So I can see how people say it's a pro and a con, but more so if you're able to really do it the right way, it can definitely be very beneficial. And that's why a lot of athletes do get into real estate, right? They have the money where they're able to put it into these homes, and they can make residual or passive income by way of rent, or if they decide to sell it, now you have Airbnbs. So there are so many different things that a loan could actually benefit an athlete versus paying cash.
We say to a player to go ahead and get a loan instead of paying cash.
Well, it really depends on the person too, right?
Okay.
So one shoe ain't gonna fit all sizes. So we might have someone who says, I don't want to worry about this at all. Just pay the property tax for the year. Leave me alone. I don't want to handle no renders or nothing like that. That might be a person where pay the cash. Versus you have another person that's like, look, I might be in Miami today, but they might send me to Cleveland tomorrow. But I still want to be able to make money off this home in case I want to move back, right? I might get traded back to Miami. So if I do, I have renters and I have a place to stay. I can say, hey, your term is going to be ending this day. You know what I'm saying? So there are so many different things that can happen. There's so many different details that can happen that I can't say to a player or any player that may be watching this, yes, get a loan, or no, buy cash.
Okay. And I will say this too. There is another pro to like having a loan, because if, like Ashley said, the renter, the athlete is trying to make their home a rental. Let's just say in the future when they're trying to purchase other homes, that's showing their reputation. I guess you could say they're reputable about what they're able to pay on that loan. Because if you don't have a loan, you just have cash. Don't get me wrong, cash is good. But with that loan, if you want to go purchase another home or just start to have those type of real estate investments, then you'll be able to have something like a portfolio to show what you have done so far. So it's really so it's really kind of like up in the air based off that player. Maybe they don't ever want to get in real estate. So for them, cash is the thing. But if they're trying to have those investment properties, creating that portfolio, showing that they're able to maintain loans, that can be important too.
Mm-hmm. And again, showing that like you have collateral in the event that you do default on it. Okay, now we see that this is what you have. We'll be able to seize that.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Jasmine, do you have a question? I was writing down my questions as you ladies were going. That was my 2 questions that I had. Jasmine, do you have a question? Because the thing is, like I said, you have athletes, and you said it, Ashley. Maybe they'll be in Miami one day and then Dallas another day. You just never know with the athletes, right? You can always get traded. So, and most of these guys, when they go into the league, some do purchase a home, thinking that this is going to be their forever home, and it can be their forever home. However, if they were to get traded, they definitely would have to find, or get traded, but they would definitely have to find another property somewhere else. However, if they play it right, wouldn't you ladies say that they can have the home that they purchase, pay for the home that they have to rent in the next place?
Yeah,
that would be a smart thing.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and when you're making sure that you're breaking even, and now you're able to turn your expenses into profit, of course, yes, it will pay for itself. As long as you're doing it right, you're staying on top of it. Now, with athletes, it could be a little bit difficult because they may be playing sports or in the Super Bowl or wherever the case may be, and they can't be down there to actively look at those properties, and they have multiple properties. So now you're talking about who can I put in these positions to make sure they can make these decisions that I would make in the event that I'm not going to be there. So again, you definitely want to be able to grow your portfolio, but as an athlete, when you're focused on having to win and that's your job and your job is based off your performance, you can't worry about everything else over here. You have to find someone that's going to take that stress off of you. And from there, you're like, okay, cool, we got it until off season. And now I can say, okay, we should have moved this way or pivot that way.
And most of the times, that they have liaisons that's connected with the team. So you have these realtors, which I wish you could get connected to a team, Chanel. I want to speak that into existence, but they have these ladies or gentlemen that's connected to these teams. And as soon as these players come in, they're connecting them with them. Not saying that you definitely have to go with them, but the thing is, they're going to think, okay, they're just coming in. Like you said, they really don't have much time. They just want to get into a home, but never rush the process. Never rush the process. You are the author of your story. So you get to choose who you would like to put in position to do X, Y, and Z. We do have a question here. Mr. First of all, which is our sports champion, he says, I have a question about loans for building a home. How different is it from the 3 loans mentioned prior? Oh, this is Ebony. That's our money. Oh God, mental health champion. Okay. So which one of you ladies want to take it?
So she's talking more so about like the land loans or the USDA loans where you're able to build your house on that. Oh dang, the question disappeared. I wanted to make sure I answered all of it. But with that case, right, more or a hard loan, most people would probably call it, right? You're going out, you say, hey, I'm about to build this house. You have a certain amount of time in order to build the house and repay that loan back. And when the interest kicks in. Most times when people have anything like that, they're building their house, trying to do it within that specific time frame, and then they'll refinance it with a FHA or a conventional or a VA loan, depending on whichever one that they qualify for. It's just mainly more so, okay, I have my land in place. I'm building the house the way that I want to build it. As long as it get done within this certain time frame, I'm going to refinance it now to be able to pay on maybe a mortgage if my credit is good, where the interest rate was going to be significantly less than paying back on that hard money loan.
And I will say this too, with before getting a loan, having a contractor, just so you know what that price is gonna be, because you can get a loan to build the home, but if you don't know what that loan is supposed to be, it may be a little bit more difficult. Because if you have a contractor who is a builder who lets you know, like, hey, this is particular property that I want, this is the type of rooms I want, this is how much it's going to take for me to be able to build it. Let's say that's $350,000. Then you can go to actually specifically say, hey, I have a builder who's going to, build this for me. The contract price for this is $350,000, and then she can get a loan for you. But you want to make sure you have all of your contracting pieces together so that you're not going back getting multiple types of loans because you're missing different parts of the process of building the home because you're just quickly saying, I want to build a house. It's a lot of components that come to building that house that you want to make sure you have all in pretty much one bucket, so that when you hand it over to Ashley, you're not having gaps in between, having to repool, 3 months in, you forgot you got to do electricity. So you have another part of contracting that you need to do. So you just want to make sure you have all that together prior to actually even trying to get the loan.
Yeah. And even just within that whole process too, there are certain things when you get to a turning point where you have to be inspected or get approved for you to even build further on, right? Like they have to come out, they have to inspect the plumbing, they have to inspect the electrical for them to be like, okay, yeah, now you're good for the next step. So when you're thinking about that, when you're building in the home, of course, you want to be able to build it as fast as you can. But when you do that, sometimes you run into errors and you're think about it now, the new homes that are being built up 5 years ago, they're falling apart. So there are so many things that you're going to run into later on, and you're going to end up paying for it later on instead of getting that instant gratification of saying, hey, I built my house in like 3 months.
Yeah, it's not that quick of a process at all. Take your time, find your contractors, find all the pieces of it, get all your information, basically create a portfolio for your home. So when you go talk to Ashley, you could just be like, hey, this is what I have to do. These are the steps. This is the estimate based off of what they gave me. They told me all these things need to be done. So I can actually move forward in confidence without having to say, hey, like you said, 3 months in, I got a home, but you took the time in the next 6 months to a year to get what you need so that you feel satisfied about what you actually did. So yeah, definitely agree with Ashley.
Okay, we have another question from Jasmine. Come on, Jasmine. Y'all see we rocking our glasses inside.
Yes.
Don't play with us.
So this was amazing, ladies. So definitely setting the mothers up for success, for sure. And home ownership is a huge goal. So what I would say is for mothers that may be rebuilding credit or may have, gone through bankruptcies or Chapter 7 or Chapter 13s, what would be some helpful advice, one for them. And then two, I know you mentioned like some different programs and stuff that may be able to help them lead towards home ownership, because there's a lot of different scenarios, as moms that you may face. So just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. So if I start off, I definitely want to say, if those are things that you are going through, whether the credit is not there or you have these things on your credit score as far as any chapter or bankruptcies, one, that's not the end. Okay. When you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. Right. So there are a lot of different things out there that are able to help you get back on your feet. I know for me personally, the only thing that I do with credit, again, is if anyone has like a 570, then I'll do the credit upgrade. Anything up under a 570, I refer out to a person who, his name is Malik. He's very great. He's been in the business over 7 or 8 years. So this isn't something where he just popped up one day and said, hey, I want to do credit. Okay. I definitely refer them over to them. I say, hey, this is the discussion that I had. I'm going to connect you to. He does what he does with you. And at that point, it's going to be up to the person if they just say, hey, I want to go through with this, or no, I don't want to go through this. I always tell people on the front end that anytime that you're trying to purchase a house, it is very, 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 very annoying. Okay. Your emotions are going to be up. They're going to be down. You're going to think one day, okay, cool. Everything is cleared. Then next thing you know, your realtor or your mortgage lender going to be calling saying, hey, this happened. And you're going to feel like, is this really for me? Like, God, just give me a sign. And then it starts thunderstorming outside. But then the rainbow come over. Y'all know I got use shape, but it's okay. So it's a tedious process, and it's not, again, your emotions are going to be all over the place. But as long as you have that group or that team behind you, like a really good realtor, a really good mortgage loan officer, a really good credit repair person, and just someone like a spouse or whoever, just to lean on those days where you just feel like giving up, it's gonna all come. It's just that you have all the resources provided to you. It's a matter if you're gonna tap in and use them to your advantage.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, because I come across this a lot with having clients who say they don't have their credit score, they don't have this. I can give you the tools. I can tell you what you need to do, but the work is ultimately up to you. Is how bad do you really want what you say that you want? If you say you want to become a homeowner and you give yourself a year, don't spend the next 3 or 4 months going and getting additional loans, getting a new car, doing all these other extra things, knowing that your end goal is to become a homeowner. And now you're still not where your credit needs to be. You're in further debt than you were before. But we gave you the tools to say, hey, this is a person you go to get your credit fixed. Hey, Ashley gave you, a way of saving, you're having financial, security. I'm telling you, hey, these are some other things you need to do. And you're doing the complete opposite. I can't really say that, I can help you at the end if you haven't done the work for yourself.
Right. And, one thing for me, even though I am a mortgage loan officer, I'm also the financial advisor. So for me, I want to make sure that when we're thinking anything about a loan, we're budgeting, right? That's why that last seminar was very important, because the budget is the foundation to everything, right? As long as you have your budget, you know what you can and what you can't afford. You know where you are and what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. So with that, I'm looking at the overall finances. How does this loan impact this over here? If if you're married and you have kids and you're in a 2-income household, but now your spouse passes away and it's down to a 1-income household, how does that affect your loan?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's a lot to think about. And also, while you were speaking, my other question, oh gosh, I just had a brain fart. Hold on. What did I want to ask? Anybody else just go ahead? I just had a brain fart, but it's going to come back. Oh. Or what happens if you purchase a home and you find out later on that you don't think some things was done correctly? You're just pretty much stuck, or is there an association that you can reach out to about it?
So are you referring to, let's just say you purchase a house and the water heater go out as soon as you get in the home, and you're just like, that can be a $10,000 job, but they told you they did an inspection. Well, legally, if you were to say, and I always say, when you actually get ready to go in and do purchase your home, get an inspection. Always get your own personal inspection. You don't have to use who they give you. You can use who you want to. Get an inspection so you can have everything notated and it's already documented, because at that point, maybe it's just come more of a legal issue. Because if you went to them and said, hey, I see that the water heater hasn't been replaced in 15 years, and they come back and tell you, well, no, we just had it looked at such and so, you document that within, the offer, the contract, so that later on, if something comes up and you already mentioned to them about it, being 15 years old, they said it was just replaced a certain amount of time, you can actually legally go after them for that, because they spoke to you and said that this is what the house had offered and it really wasn't. Now, on our end, there's, like, as a realtor, there's not really much I can do. That would be like more of a legal issue. And even with HOA, the HOA is really just there to kind of like monitor the property, the premises, right? Keeping your lawn done, if parking, things like that, maintaining the common areas, that's HOA dues. Dues are for. But as far as like issues within the home that haven't been presented, if you didn't bring it up, honestly, if you did not bring it up while you were actually going through the process of purchasing, it may just be on you. So I always tell my clients, always get your own personal inspections, see what's on the inspection. If there's some issues that you feel like you need to get fixed or some problems, notate that, let let the seller know. If they can either choose to fix it or not, but it gives you an opportunity to either back away or you can actually negotiate prices. If the water heater has not been replaced, all right, I need to take $20,000 off this home. Because later on, that means I'm probably gonna have to invest in it to replace it. And so I'm not going to do that knowing that it's not up to par and I'm going to have to do it. So it's just really just making sure you do your due diligence. And as a realtor, that would be my recommendation. I always tell my clients, hey, do what's best for you. Keep yourself on your toes. Just because the seller say something and like Ashley say, they beautify these homes. They have AI now. But once you go in it, it may not be any way like you actually thought it was.
So true. And then I just with the homes, I'm laughing because I went to look at a place that I wanted to rent out for a business, and it was so pretty on the pictures. When I got there, it was like, Lord have mercy. So I definitely can agree with that. So here it is. I want to open up the floor because we want to do a giveaway. So my question would be to the audience. Can you tell me 3 things? I'll make it a little easy. Can you tell me 2 things that Chanel said that she will ask during your process when she's showing you a home?
This should be easy.
Do I count?
No. 2 things. Only 2 things. And then tell me, Jasmine, you give a question for Ashley. So it's 8:22 now. You guys have 60 seconds for my question. Jazz, you can ask your question. Can't hear you. Come on, nobody have 2 things that Chanel said? Come on, guys. No? Okay, well, Jess, ask your question.
Okay, so well, this is probably going to come from Chanel because she mentioned this in her presentation. So why is it important to get your own inspector to check out your property?
It's 8:23. You have until 8:24. Come on, guys. You want to pay attention. Listen, these ladies brought out their playbook inside the huddle. I'm gonna let y'all go to 8:25. How about that? I'm gonna give you a whole another 60 seconds. What?
Well, while they are
Go ahead.
while they are looking to put that in the chat, I do want to just put out there that me and Chanel did come up with something earlier this year where we wanted to help 10 millennial families get into their home. So I am doing free pricing scenarios just to see where you are now currently and where you need to be when it comes to purchasing your dream home.
You know that's good because you know the people's president just came out with this thing where they're paying high mortgages. I mean, rent. I'm sorry, and now that he's gonna make it to where that could go towards being a homeowner. Did you guys hear about that?
I haven't. I'm going to keep political out of this. I haven't heard of that, but I won't hold my breath. The only other thing that I can say with that is most people get turned off by interest rates. Some people are having 2% interest rates and they're like, I'm loving it. I got 2%. Y'all over here, y'all got 6, 7, 8. And I'm here to tell people, like, don't be married to the interest rate.
Mhm.
Okay. I literally had a client. She's like, I had this interest rate for about 4 or 5 years and it was like 3.5. She needed to refinance her house. So with her refinancing her house, she needed to make sure that she had her kitchen done and a few other things that she wanted to kind of tweak because she didn't know if she was going to sell or not. Okay, well, when we broke everything down and consolidated her budget, that's what, and budget is very important. So if y'all missed the last one, we'll run it back. So when we're looking at her budget, we're like, okay, you have student loans, you have car loans, you have credit card loans on top of your mortgage, and you're spending about $3,000 over here separately with all your loans not attached. Now, when I'm looking here at 6.5, and she's like, but I got this 3.5. And over here at 6.5, we consolidated your loans, and now you're paying about $2,000 a month. And over here, you're paying about $4,000 a month. We just put $2,000 back into your pocket because we consolidated those loans. So when people think like, oh, I have a 3.5 interest rate, that does not mean you're winning. Okay. Because now you have to go back and revisit your budget. And does your interest rate make sense with your current budget?
And I'll say this too, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm just waiting to the market crash. I want a 2%, 3%. The average price points for interest rate, actually, don't get me wrong, has always been between 4 and 6. It has not been historically 2%, 3%. It just hasn't. So people are seeing the 6 and the 7s and they're like, oh no. And it's like, you're not too far off from what is really normal.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would even go up like a little bit, 9%, maybe like between 6 and 9. You know what I'm saying?
Depending on your
millennials, we're scarred because we done been through everything. Life has not been regular for us. Okay, so like when we think it's regular and we see something put up, it's just like, wait, hold on, this does not feel right. It's too fast. Like we're just scarred. Okay.
Wow. Well, we do have an answer here. Even though this is our mental health champion, she still is in the building. Okay. So we'll see if this answer is correct. She says, because people say they've reviewed certain things and haven't. So you want to always have your own eyes out there. We are just answering. I'm sure we don't qualify for the giveaway. But I tell you what, you know what? This is how we're going to do it. Although you don't qualify for it, you can definitely pay it forward. If you know someone that's definitely in need, we definitely can go ahead and pay it forward to the person, whoever you you suggest put up here, and whoever you think should get it, whoever you think is worthy getting it. We know that the Mr. First of All's family is not qualified. However, if you know someone, we would definitely like to pay it forward. Just make sure you go ahead and you email us at info@mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Send us the person name and we can send it to you. However you want it done. We definitely can send it over to you. But my other thing that I had to say is, we know I want to do some role playing. Jasmine, you're going to be Robert Sands, and I'm going to be Alan Hearns. We're players, all right? And we're coming into the league, guys. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to call up Chanel, and we're going to call up Ashley, and we're going to want them to get us in this. I'm going to go on the low end, like Chanel said. So let's go on the low end. Give me a home for about 4. Walk me through that process.
Yeah. So, of course, you would have already had that conversation with Chanel. Hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Chanel's going to be like, okay, well, have you spoke to a lender to see where you are financially? Right. So when we're talking, I'm like, I need to know where the money is. Okay. If you got money under your pillow, under your blanket, if you got a secret account, if you are married, it counts. So this is where all the secrets are going to start coming into play. Okay. I'm nosy. I need to know if you on the rocks with your marriage, because if you're going to get divorced soon, then we also need to know. I'm being so serious. I need to know. I'm a personal therapist, because I'm going to make sure that you're going to be set up for success. Right. And if I'm also wasting my time, we don't like to do that, because time is not something that we're going to get back. Okay. But that's besides the point. I need to know where the money is. I need to know if you guys are expecting to have kids anytime soon, because I want to make sure that what we're getting you into is what you can stay in. Okay. After that, I'll meet with you. We kind of go over expectations. We'll do the pricing scenario. Hey, I want to buy this type of house. This is my credit score. This is my debt. This is my income. This is what I think I have.
Well, Miss Ashley, I never told you that I even had credit. I never had credit before.
You're right. You're right. So then I would be also asking you, saying, hey, how would you be able to buy this house? But however, during that whole process, while I'm asking you for these things, you're going to tell me if you have the money or not, right? You're not going to sit there and just be like, hold on, I want this loan. That call is going to look a lot like, hey, Chanel, I got $500,000 in cash right now. I want to be able to purchase the house. There's no need for me.
Mm.
Yeah. And
So
I'll
even if I have the 5,000, I want to make sure that I'm able to do. I can't recant everything that you ladies said about the pros of having a loan. So I don't really know whether I want to spend the 500,000 in cash, or can you really get me a loan, Miss Ashley?
Like I said, anyone can be able to get a loan, right? We're looking at the debt to income ratio. So what does your debt look like towards your income? Okay, this is the type of loan that you qualify for. If it's a $500,000 house and you say, hey, I'm going to put $2,500,000 towards this house. I want to finance the other $2,500,000. Now we're looking at, what does your credit score look like? What does your income look like? What does your debt look like? Do you qualify for this $2,500 loan? Because you can have it in cash, but can you also qualify it on a loan application?
Yeah, but I'm just coming out of college. I just entered the league. I'm a rookie. I'm banking off of this money that I'm gonna get. I mean, I don't know. Like right now, I just know that I need to get inside of this home because I have to have somewhere to live. They only put us up for a couple of weeks while we're in camp, but I have to have this home when I get out. Of
Yeah. The key word that I heard was banking.
right. I was like that was a little that would probably been a question I asked early on, like, okay, you banking on getting this money, so do you have the funds or not? Because at the end of the day, if you do come to me and I say, hey, what are we looking for? And they were to say, hey, I have cash, I will ask, so what is your goal? What is your end goal? Are you trying to have future homes? Okay, so you're trying to get that loan. Okay, well, we need to make sure you have that money.
Yes.
Do you have your contract? Do you have funds that's in your account? When will that drop? How soon do you need to move? Because you may not be able to move that quick. We have to set a timeline before we start progressing and moving forward to the next thing, because we can't do anything off of, oh, I got this $1 million contract and it's coming in November and it's September, and I'm like,
yeah, we can't do anything with
I want to get an apartment with a buddy for
right.
The biggest thing is, I want to say, anybody that's listening, these ladies are on their game. They caught the key word. I said banking. And that is something that you need inside, need for a financial advisor to be able to do, is to hear. You analyze everything that you're telling them, because they want to make sure that they're going to offer you the best services possible. Why? Because you're going to go and say, okay, well, Miss Ashley and Miss Chanel took care of me. Boy, you should go ahead. You know how they talk. Bro, you should go ahead and look them up. And, that word of mouth is the best promotion, So that was good. I'm glad that both of you ladies caught that. Jasmine, go ahead and role play.
That was a good one you just did. So, now I gotta think of something. Okay, so I guess I know Chanel mentioned it, and also too, Ashley briefly knocked on it too. But when you just say you've paid cash for the house, right? And you said it does make for a quick sale. Is that kind of correct, or kind of right in the avenue of what you were saying? Like it makes it a little easier because
yes, you have to think about, all you have to do is verify your funds. You can verify your funds with the attorney. with the loan process, Ashley has to go through her verification process, pulling documentation, stuff like that. We would just need a bank statement to give out to the attorneys to say, hey, this is what's in my bank. This is how much, and a contract signed, sealed, and delivered saying this is what we're gonna do, and you can agree, and we can go to the closing table. So it doesn't take that long. The only thing that may take a little longer is if you want to wait it out, the person that's giving cash to get an inspection, appraisal, things like that. If you don't need any of that, you don't have to go through with it, but you do want to make sure you do want to get an appraisal. I always say still get an appraisal anyway, because you want to make sure, even though you're paying cash, you're not doing anything crazy with that cash. Because if the house ain't worth $600,000, I was only worth $400, don't pay $600,
right?
That doesn't make sense, So make sure you still do the appraisal, get your inspection, but if everything is good, that's a quick sale.
Now, and I want to piggyback off something that you said, right? Like, even though the cash part is cool, one thing about what happens most times too is when people think that they got the loan secured and they're at the closing table, sometimes even with the verified approval, we'll go back and verify those funds. And then if you've done anything within your funds, any purchases or money that can't be accounted for, you can forfeit that loan. And now you have to start all over again. That can literally mess up your closing.
Right, and lose money because you put that earnest money up front. You may have already spent money on appraisal. You spent money on inspection. You get to the closing table, Ashley pulls where she needs, and you don't spend money. You just lost all that, and the seller doesn't have the right to have to give it back to you.
Holy cow! Yeah. Well, we're gonna leave them with this because this is the thing. Whoa, y'all just messed me up with that. That is something to think about. Wow. Okay, so what we want to talk about next. Y'all go ahead. I'm gonna give the floor to you ladies, to leave them with a teaser, because you ladies will be bringing your playbook back out in August. And one of the things we want to do here is not give them everything, but tease them to come on back inside this huddle. We want them to tell a mom, to tell a mom, to tell another mom. Come on and get inside this huddle, inside Mom's Locker Room of Legacy. We will love to have you. And go ahead, Ash and Chanel, in closing, or give your closing.
Yeah. Do you want to go, or would you like for me to go, Chanel?
You can go ahead and go.
Yeah. Okay. So if you missed last Friday, again, we had a great budgeting webinar where we learned about budgets, what the foundation of budgeting is and why it's so important. And then, of course, with the home ownership, that goes hand in hand, because you have to have a budget in order to know what you can afford when it comes to the housing process. So coming in August, we are going to talk about some ways that you're able to save when it does come to you wanting to purchase a house, right? Because you may not be financially ready now, but there are ways that you can kind of pretty much put your bank account on steroids, to help you get those funds for any closing costs or any down payment if you don't qualify for down payment assistance. And then we'll also go deeper and deeper into what the three most common type of loans are and what qualifications you need in order to have that, and the requirements. So I'm really excited. I hope to see you guys in August.
Ms. Chanel?
Well, I will say this moving forward, especially, in August, I guess I'll be welcome back then. But in August, I do want to talk about some perks that comes along with this market, because I think everybody is hearing financial, right now finances are struggling with trying to deal with the economy, but it's really not a bad time to purchase. People think that because of, how the market may seem, but because there are a lot of people that are trying to sell their homes, there's different ways. It's not manipulation, but it's negotiation that we can talk about a little bit more in depth.
That is good right there. The last question I want to ask you ladies, it just came back. You talked about the appraisal really quick. You talked about the appraisal. What happens if you get an appraisal and the appraisal, oh God, what happens if the appraisal is less than, wait, how did it go? Because I'm talking about me now. What happens if you get that appraisal and that appraisal is less than what the selling price is? I think you ladies hit on it. Mm-hmm. But you already said, okay, you already agreed on the price that it was. So are you just stuck?
There's a couple things that can happen, right? So just to give an example again, if it's $600,000 and it was appraised for $550,000, that's a $50,000 gap. There's a couple of things that can happen. We can try to negotiate with the seller. It's not always a guarantee. if they're not willing to negotiate, because we're saying basically we're able to afford this loan based off of the $600,000. We're able to do that, but we only have so much money to be able to go towards the down payment closing. That's another $50,000 on top of down payment and closing. There has to be a negotiation, or we have to agree to either back out that loan without losing any funds, because at this point it's nothing we can do. We were not aware that it was going to be appraised for $550. We went in at a price that you listed it because we felt like it was worth it. But if we don't have the funds, we'll have to try to negotiate to either have them come down or we'll have to back out.
And then maybe one other way most people might not necessarily think about, but you have to see if that's going to cost you more money now, would be to do certain renovations to increase the value of the home. But you don't know if that's going to end up costing you more money to do that versus just trying to sell it.
Right.
All right. As you heard here, these ladies brought out their playbook. Jazz, do you have anything that you would like to leave before we get on out of here?
No, that was amazing. I've heard majority of what you ladies have said already, so thank you for just kind of bringing that refresher back to me. Definitely in the future, I want to purchase a home as a first-time home buyer. So it's definitely great to hear all of this information and just to kind of keep it in the back of my head. And then also what Ashley always mentions about budget, just making sure that budget is in line for what you're trying to do for future success. Definitely what I tell my ladies also too, as you're wanting to achieve entrepreneurship, of course, home ownership is a part of that goal too. So thank you, ladies, for bringing out your playbooks tonight.
No problem. No problem. Anyone that is willing to just try to figure out if you want to purchase a house within the next year, 2 years, feel free to hit me on my DM at Joliefield_Marie on Instagram, and we can go ahead and get those plans together for you so that when you are saying, hey, yep, it's time to buy a house, we know that the funds are there, the credit is there, and everything's going to be squared away, and that can streamline your whole process.
Ooh.
And I do want to say thank you all so much for having me. It's definitely been a pleasure. It's nice meeting everyone. And I definitely hope to come back and be able to give you just more insight to everyone. So
absolutely. But two things before we get out of here. Jasmine, you will become a homeowner. We're going to speak things into existence. And Chanel, you will be connected to the NFL.
I claim that.
In the name of Jesus. We're going to speak it now.
Right.
I do want to thank you so very much for taking time out your busy schedule to be here inside of Mom's Locker Room of Legacy, sharing with so many of us. I'm sure that a lot of us learned a whole lot here on tonight. We do have on this Thursday our entrepreneurship champion. She will be in the building, and your topic is
Purpose in the process. So really just trying to get the mothers in the mindset of balancing their lives, but also preparing themselves for entrepreneurship and creating that generational wealth. And then the healing aspect of that also. So we're going to dive deep into some things.
Right. So tell a mom to tell a mom to tell another mom to come on inside this locker room. And then one thing, last but not least, Ashley will be entering the NIL space. Y'all don't play. I serve a God that sits high and look low, and I'm going to put y'all name. I'm going to be calling y'all names out tonight in the name of Jesus. It's something about when you can get a prayer through. It is something about when God hears your prayers. And I'm telling you, these young women here, not that I'm old, but these young women here doing their thing. They're bringing out their playbooks. So listen, be in the building 7:30 Thursday for our entrepreneur champion. And I'm telling you, every Monday and Thursday, we will have each one of our champions in the building at 7:30. So again, tell a mom to tell another mom to tell plenty moms to get inside the locker room. We would love to have you guys. And thank you so much, Chanel, for coming on tonight. Thank you as our special guest.
No problem at all. I enjoyed it.
And you can send out this link so people can rewatch if you would like, because this is some very, very valuable information that I know that one can definitely use, because becoming a homeowner is a beautiful thing. And Jasmine, I can't wait to celebrate with you. I'm telling you.
Popping bottles. I give custom wood pieces by Otis Robson, who is a great woodworker located in Conyers, Georgia. To anyone who had closed his houses, baby, he be making them wine rack bottles, okay?
But honey, where were you? What were you a couple of years ago? I would like to put one now. To God be the glory. We're gonna get you stuff. We're gonna get both of y'all some clients, because I'm telling y'all it's about to go up. In the name of Jesus. Guys, we love you here at It Had to Happen. We want to go ahead and send you guys out some virtual hugs. Come on, ladies, let's hug, because we're virtual. And I'm gonna give y'all some love. Let me give y'all a love. Is it gonna come up?
Wait, mine didn't come
I'm
up.
not gonna do it. I don't think it's on my laptop.
You have Matt?
Yeah.
Wait, put it to the side a little bit.
It's not.
No.
Oh no, that's foul.
It's
That's
not
right.
right. Maybe it's just. It's okay. I tried.
That's okay. Me and Jackson, we sent y'all some love.
Okay.
I didn't update my computer. That's all.
All right. Thank you so much. Have the most amazing week ever. We'll see you back. Chanel, come back on Thursday. Join the Entrepreneur Champion here. She got, we want to support as much as we can. But Ashley, thank you again.
Of course. It's always a pleasure. I love being able to spread the information that comes across my brain to our community, because it is needed. Okay. And if you're going to take advice from anyone, take advice from someone who is licensed. That's all I'm going to say.
And you see the finger, right? That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So if you're a coach, or you're a school, or you have some camps, we would definitely like to get inside your camps. Mom's Locker Room of Legacy, we would like to bring it to you. You definitely can reach out to us at info@mothersof motivated sons.org. We have some great things coming up. And also we're looking to host a live workshop, either in Miami or Atlanta. Lay around for it, but it will be in September. God bless each and every one of you. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.